All right, year 11. Sorry, I can't be there today, but obviously, I want to make sure that you make the most of all the lessons that we have left. So, I'm going to record the lesson and go through the tasks. And whoever's on cover today, it'll be a case of stopping and starting the video throughout the lesson. So, today's lesson is going to be the next one following the Enabling Act, the Night of the Long Knives. So, this was a really important event for Hitler to establish control further to ensure he became the Fuhrer. So by the end of the lesson, we need to look at the problems with the SA and the importance of the army, to look at the events, to explain the events of the Night of the Long Knives, and evaluate the importance of the Night of the Long Knives for Hitler's consolidation as Führer. So it does link to what we've been doing previously over the last few lessons. So if we just pause the video here and give you 30 seconds to write down date, title, and keywords. So, a background to the Night of the Long Knives. So, what you need to know, preferably for that grade 4 to 5. So, we know at this stage Hitler was Chancellor, but we could argue that he wasn't completely in control. Yes, he's removed the communists with the Reichstag fire. Yes, he's had the Enabling Act passed, which allows him to pass laws without the Reichstag. But is he completely in control at the moment? No. He still has issues with Hindenburg still being alive, and there's a few people that are causing him problems still. The opposition from outside the Nazi Party was being strangled, so communists were banned and the concentration camps were being set up. So, from outside the party, opposition was limited. But inside the party was where Hitler faced some issues. Some people within the party opposed him. Also, some important people wouldn't support Hitler while these opponents remained. And the biggest group that Hitler was still craving for their support was the army. Now, we'll talk about why that was important in a minute with your first task of the lesson. And for all the power that the Enabling Act gave Hitler, that complete control to pass laws, he was still threatened by some in the Nazi Party. He was also worried, as I just said, that the army hadn't given an oath of allegiance, so loyalty. Hitler knew that the army really didn't respect him, as they only saw him as a corporal. So the key thing for Hitler during the Night of the Long Knives was to get rid of any competition within the Nazi Party, but also get the army on side, which he was desperate for. So there's two arguments to be measured for Hitler. Why should Hitler purge the SA? Why should he get rid of key leaders? And why should he support the SA? So that links to your first task. So you're going to be given a color-coded sheet. And what you need to do on this sheet is you need to color code reasons why Hitler should support the SA and then reasons why Hitler should purge the SA. So that sheet will be given to you now. If we pause the video and then you spend about 8 minutes color coding this task. So by now we should have color coded the task. So why should Hitler support the SA, the Sturmarbeitung? Well, firstly, they helped Hitler ridiculous amounts. They helped him during the Munich Putsch. They helped him during the early days of the Nazi Party. A lot of people said without the SA, that the Nazi Party may not have grown to what it did. The SA was led by one of Hitler's earliest supporters, Ernst Röhm, who we have come across before. They were personally loyal to Hitler. However, Hitler doubted that because of their numbers. They were loyal Nazis. The leader shared Hitler's vision of a racially pure society, that Aryan race. And they also helped Hitler by putting up posters, leaflets, and intimidating people through the 20s and 30s. And if you're Hitler, you've got 2 million members by 1934. So you have got power in numbers. So reasons to support the SA are there, and hopefully we've color coded the correct ones. But why should he purge them? So there's a few things here. So if the SA went out of control, Hitler might lose the support of the president. Remember, the president could still remove Hitler if he wanted to, but he needed a reason. The SA were becoming lawless in the 1930s and were causing some Germans to be annoyed with the violence which led them to turning against the Nazis. The bigger they grew, the harder they were to control. A lot of people thought that they were more loyal to Ernst Röhm. Some of the SA leaders were demanding rewards for their service. So they were angry that new people were getting recognition. So Hitler probably doesn't want people demanding things, especially when he wants that complete control. They weren't a professional army. They were thugs. They were ex-soldiers. They did not have the same authority as the German army. A few issues here is they didn't have the same level of weaponry, but Rohm wanted to merge the German army with the SA, and that really upset the German army, and Hitler needed to decide who was more important. And I guess if you are Hitler, that bottom statement there, if Hitler supported the German army, he would get more support from large businesses. So they're the reasons that we've got here. So you need to stick that sheet in your book. If we just pause the video here and spend just 1 minute sticking that in your book, please, and we'll move on to task 2. Right, so now we've thought about the reasons for the event, the reasons for the Night of the Long Knives. We need to look at the event. So I'm going to go through a piece of information on the Night of the Long Knives, and in a minute you're going to be given a quiz to complete based on what I'm going through. So this is the information. All you need to do for the next few minutes is just listen while I go through the key information on what happened during the Night of the Long Knives. And what we can do is, if you need it playing again, the cover teacher can play it for you a second time. So the Night of the Long Knives was the purging of Hitler's political and military rivals in the SA. So this was a way to remove key threats within the SA. At this time, mid-1934, there was some hostility between Hitler and Rohm. And Hitler had to choose between the SA and the German army. I mean, it's no spoiler, he chose the German army. Hitler depended on the SA during his ride to power. They fought for Hitler against the communists and helped him come to power. By 1934, they were enormous, 2 to 3 million members, making them very powerful. And the leader of the SA, Rohm, could be a potential rival to Hitler. If Hitler lost control of them, he might have lost the support of Hindenburg, and he might have lost his chancellorship. Rohm wanted Hitler to reduce the power of big business, take over industries, and wanted the SA to control the army. Now, straight away, think about this. Big business provided Hitler with a lot of money. That's not going to happen. Take over industries, that's more of a left-wing idea. And controlling the army would have easily rebelled at that. So, some things to consider. Hitler was worried that the SA was made up of thugs, and although Rohm was loyal to Hitler, they had previously quarrelled about the role of the SA, alongside the fact that Rohm was a known drunk and homosexual, a trait that Hitler might have disagreed with. That doesn't mean he purged Rohm because of those reasons. He purged Rohm for the reasons that we mentioned before. The army was much smaller, 100,000, easier to control, more professional. The leadership was supported by big business. They wanted Hitler to expand the army and buy new weapons. But the army distrusted Rohm, so Hitler would never get the army on side unless Rohm was gone. When Hitler became chancellor, he went to the army leaders and told them he intended to rearm Germany and take back German land. He also told them that he would defeat France in a war. So when Hitler became chancellor, he's telling the army, we're going to break the Treaty of Versailles. He also had a smaller bodyguard unit known as the SS, which we mentioned in previous lessons. They were controlled by a man called Heinrich Himmler. Himmler also wanted to control the army and highly distrusted Hitler, but it's important that we know that Hitler never purges the SS because they were smaller, 52,000 men, and they helped Hitler go ahead with the Night of the Long Knives. So they're the reasons. Now, this is the events here. On the 30th of June, 1934, Hitler acted and sent key leaders of the SA to Hotel Hanselbauer in Bavaria. So he sent them on a team-building getaway. Hitler then stormed in with the SS and arrested key leaders, including Rohm, Ernst, and Hennes. These men were later shot dead by SS soldiers. Further to this, Hitler didn't just use the Night of the Long Knives to kill members of the SA. He also did it to get payback on certain people. So Schleicher, von Kahr, Munich Putsch, and Strasser, Munich Putsch, they were also murdered. Now, official records say only 14 were killed, but during this Night of the Long Knives, it's thought that Hitler had 400 people murdered to bring his control back in line. It helped Hitler, as after this, he did get trust from the army. That's the most important thing. But the real nail in the coffin for Hitler's control was that on the 2nd of August 1934, barely a month and a bit after this event, Hindenburg died. After this, the army swore complete loyalty to Hitler, and this is where Hitler combined the jobs of Chancellor and President and created the Fuhrer. So at this stage, Hitler is in complete control. And the Night of the Long Knives really helped with this. So your job, you've got a quiz in front of you. What was the Night of the Long Knives known as? How many SA members were there by 1934? What did Ron want Hitler to do? 3 things. What did Hitler promise the army when he came to power? Who were the SS? Who led the SS? How many men were in the SS and the army? When were the key leaders arrested? Give 3 individuals who were arrested by the SS. How many people are thought to have been murdered? Why did the Night of the Long Knives help Hitler? And what happened on the 2nd of August 1934 to help Hitler further? Now, at the very minimum, I need this done before next lesson. Now, what you have, remember, we are preparing for mocks. So the next slide, we have got a video. So I want the cover teacher just to pause here, and I'm going to give you about 8 minutes to complete this, please. Off we go. All right, now hopefully we're all done. We've finished that. Now, the key thing, this is a really good video and it brings together everything. So as we watch this, I just want you to write Night of the Long Knives in the middle of your book. And during the video, write as many notes as you learn about Night of the Long Knives. This is by far one of the best short documentaries I've seen on this course. So all we need to do is pause the video here. The cover teacher is going to load up the link for the video, and then you are going to crack on with making notes. If we get to task 4, brilliant. I will explain task 4. But if we can get this done by the very end, that would be great. So if the cover teacher pauses the video and plays the next video, and remember, make as many notes as possible. If we get to the last task, it's similar to what we've done over the last few lessons. So can you write a paragraph about why the Night of the Long Knives was important to help Hitler consolidate its power? Your target's there in how many reasons you've got to give, but also the key words you could use. So if we get to this task, pause the video here, and then I think you spend about 8 minutes on this. Remember, 12 mark, you've only got about 16 in the exam. So just to finish up the lesson, before, now, after, on the 2nd of August 1934, Hindenburg died at the age of 87. What we've got here, Hitler declared himself the Fuhrer, adding to his power to those of Chancellor. He became the dictator of Germany. He forced an oath of everyone, every soldier in the army, and a public vote was held on the 19th of August to confirm Hitler as the Fuhrer, and 90% voted in favour. The key thing by the end of this lesson is the Weimar Republic is officially over.